Back of the line. Now. The words hit like a slap. People stared. A young woman froze, clutching her boarding pass. The flight attendant didn't lower her voice. She pointed. Again. Back. The young woman's mom opened her mouth to speak and the attendant smirked as she'd already won. What happened next wasn't loud. It was worse. Because the mistake wasn't just rude. It was confident. Someone thought they could decide where this family belonged. And for a few minutes, it looked like they could. But stay with me, because the truth doesn't show up in an argument. It shows up in a cockpit door that opens at the exact wrong time. Earlier that day, Aaliyah was vibrating with excitement. She was 18, petite for her age, with braids tied back neatly and a navy hoodie that said "Future Pilot" in white letters. She'd worn it on purpose. This trip mattered. Her mom, Danielle, had saved for months to fly them out to see Aaliyah's grandfather. It wasn't a luxury vacation. If you care about powerful black racism stories and dignity, subscribe so you don't miss the next story. It was family, and it was overdue. Aaliyah had also been counting down for another reason. She loved planes. Not in the casual window seat way. In a serious way. She watched takeoff videos. She named the aircraft after the shape of the wings. She practiced radio phrases in the mirror like it was a game. At the gate, she kept reading the same line on their boarding passes, making sure she wasn't imagining it. Danielle smiled and said, "Remember, don't bother the crew." Aaliyah nodded fast, like she always did when she was trying not to burst. She wasn't looking for special treatment. She just wanted to sit down, buckle in, and watch the world tilt away from the ground. That's all she wanted. Boarding started smoothly. The line moved. The usual chaos. Rolling bags clipping ankles, people pretending they didn't hear, "Please step aside." Aaliyah and Danielle scanned their passes and walked down the jet bridge. Aaliyah's eyes were wide, like she was walking into a museum. She even whispered, "I can smell the airplane," like it was a good thing. At the aircraft door, a flight attendant stood greeting passengers. Perfect hair. Perfect smile. The kind of smile that looks practiced, not kind. Danielle nodded politely. Aaliyah did too. The attendant's eyes flicked to Aaliyah's hoodie. Then to Danielle. Then back to Aaliyah. Her smile tightened. "Sweetie," she said, loud enough for the next passengers to hear, "you need to wait at the back." Aaliyah blinked. "We're boarding right now." The attendant tilted her head. "You'll wait at the back." Danielle held up the boarding passes. "We're in group 2. We're allowed on." The attendant didn't look at the passes. She looked past them, like they were taking up air. "Ma'am," she said, voice sharper, "step aside. Let other passengers through." People started squeezing around them. Shoulders brushed. Someone huffed dramatically. Aaliyah's cheeks flushed. She stepped back automatically, like she'd been trained to make herself smaller. Danielle's tone stayed calm, but her hand tightened around the passes. "Is there a reason you're telling us to move?" The attendant finally glanced at the paper, then shrugged like it didn't matter. "It's for organization. Organization." Meanwhile, a white family behind them walked straight onto the plane without a second look. No questions. No wait. No organization. Aaliyah looked up at her mom, confused and embarrassed at the same time. Danielle leaned closer and whispered, "Stay right by me." The attendant pointed again. Back of the line. Now. And that wasn't the worst part. Because as Danielle tried to speak to someone else, another crew member appeared and quietly said, "Ma'am, please don't make a scene. Don't make a scene." Like the scene wasn't already being made for them. Then Aaliyah did something that made the flight attendant's eyes narrow. Aaliyah reached into her backpack and pulled out a laminated badge on a blue lanyard. Not a toy. Not a souvenir. A real airport credential with her photo on it. Danielle didn't grab it away. She let Aaliyah hold it up. And the attendant's face changed, just for a second, like she suddenly realized this wasn't the kind of person you shove to the back. A man in a crisp uniform stepped into the doorway from inside the plane. Not a flight attendant. Not a passenger. The captain. He looked at the line, then at Aaliyah and Danielle standing off to the side like they'd been parked there. "What's going on?" he asked, calm but cutting. The flight attendant started talking fast. "It's just boarding flow, Captain." Danielle held out the passes. Aaliyah held out the badge. The captain's eyes landed on Aaliyah's hoodie, then her credentials. His expression didn't soften into pity. It hardened into recognition. He turned to the attendant. "You told them to wait at the back?" The attendant's mouth opened. Closed. The captain didn't raise his voice. That was the scary part. "Step off the line," he said. "Right now." The attendant moved like her shoes suddenly weighed 50 pounds. The captain faced Danielle. "Ma'am, I'm sorry. You're boarding now." Then he crouched slightly to Aaliyah's level. "Aaliyah, right?" Aaliyah's eyes widened. "Yes, sir." He nodded toward the open cabin. "You and your mom come with me." Passengers watched as the captain personally walked them down the aisle. Not rushing. Not hiding it. Letting every single person see who had been wrong. At the front, he opened the cockpit door. And there, hanging on the spare seat, was a headset with Aaliyah's name taped on it. The captain looked back at the cabin. "We'll be delayed a moment," he announced. "We're handling a crew issue." A crew issue. Not a passenger problem. Not a scene. A crew issue. Minutes earlier, they tried to put her at the back like she didn't belong. Now she was standing at the cockpit door, calm, invited, seeing. The attendant didn't get the last word. The captain did. And the irony was brutal. The girl they tried to shrink was the one born to fly.